Hello, hello. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, everyone.
Good
Good
evening.
evening, everyone. Thank you for
Good.
joining us. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for joining us. Please kindly comment where you are streaming from in the comment box. Comment where you are streaming from in the comment box. Comment where you are streaming from. And do well to share this link to your family and friends. Share it to as many as possible. Post it across social media platforms. Post it on your WhatsApp status. Post it on different Facebook groups you belong. Please comment where you are streaming from in the comment box. Comment where you are streaming from. Comment where you are streaming from. Comment where you are streaming from. Comment where you are streaming from in the comment box. So my name is Emmanuel Jacob. I'm your host, and then I'm streaming from Akwa Ibom State, Ekiti to be precise. So I have with me a guest who is going to be teaching us how we could build a successful Web3 community in a few minutes. Then before I get to give her the opportunity to introduce herself, okay, Dorian Ntekom is streaming from Nigeria. Thank you so much for joining us. Um, Win Nas is streaming from Uyo. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for joining us. Please do well to share this live stream to as many as possible. Click on the share button, copy the link, share it with your friends. Enable Godwin is streaming from Uyo. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for joining us. That's great. So I have here with me the founder of Astute Community. I don't know if I've pronounced the name well. Is that
Yeah,
correct?
as yes,
Okay.
as Street Community Management Agency.
Awesome. Thank you for that. So her name is Dennis Victor Idonesut. So let me understand something. Sorry. Your name is Idonesut, right?
Yeah, I get that question a lot because I mean in our schooling system, we are used to starting our names with the surname
Surname.
first. Yeah,
Okay.
so Victor is my surname, Denise is my first name, and then Idongsit is the last name.
Okay. You are Dennis.
Yeah, it's Denise actually.
Denise. Really? Wow.
Yes.
Okay, I get. Because I used to assume, oh, maybe your real name is Idon and because I used to pronounce it Dennis, and I used to think that
Oh,
it's only a male that can answer Dennis. All right.
yeah, it's actually the female version of Dennis.
Okay. Joseph saying thank you. Nyebongowin, thank you. Winas, thank you. Idorian Tekom, thank you so much. Please do well to share the link to as many as possible. And I want you to understand that what Dean is going to be teaching us today is not limited to Web3 community alone, right? You could also be able to implement this to any other industry, right, that you are looking to build a sustainable and a successful community. So if you are not into Web3 or if you are not into any if you are not into any aspect or maybe field of endeavor that is related to blockchain, Web3, whatsoever, this is still applicable if you are looking at being able to build a successful and a sustainable community. So, so I'm going to give her the podium for her to teach us on how we could be able to build a successful and a sustainable community in the Web3 space. So sorry about that. I think she's having network issues and she's going to join us in a few minutes. So Please kindly let me know where you are streaming from. If you are just joining us, comment where you are streaming from in the comment section. Okay, V is streaming from Norway. Thank you so much for joining us. Please keep on sharing the link. Keep on sharing the link. Invite as many as possible to join us. Like I said earlier, depending on whatever field that you are, if you are looking at building a sustainable, if you are looking at building a good and a successful community, then this live stream is for you. And make sure you are with your writing material, as you are going to be learning a lot. So pick up your writing materials and write down some things. So Bright Socials is streaming from Uyo. Thank you so much, fam. Thank you for joining us. Please, if you are yet to share the link with your friends, please make sure you share it with your friends right away. So Denise, you can take over. Thank you.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. My name is Victor Denise Idomisit. I am a community manager and also the founder of Astute Community Management Agency. All right. So first of all, I'd like to thank Emmanuel for giving me this platform and this opportunity, to be live on this YouTube channel. So thank you, Emmanuel. Okay, so let's get started. Basically, we are going to be talking about building a successful Web3 community, what it takes to build a successful Web3 community. So if you're a community manager, you're a marketing manager, or you're someone who is into the community space, I think this is a very important topic and something very important that we need to discuss in general. So, all right, I'll just get started with some basic points that you should note or we should note if we are thinking of starting a community, a Web3 community. Now, first of all, I always like to emphasize on something that when you say a community, what does a community mean? Now, we all belong to communities, right? There's nobody born on earth that does not belong to one community or the other. So, a community could be your local government or your village where you originated from. So, we all belong to communities. So, when we bring it to Web3, if as long as you are involved in the Web3 space, in the blockchain space, definitely you should be in one Web3 community or the other. Okay. Um, Another important point to note is that growing a community, like if you, there are two main ways to grow communities. We have the organic method and the inorganic method. So if you're thinking of starting to build your community organically, just know that it's going to take longer time and a lot of patience, right? Um, yeah, it's going to take longer time and a lot of patience if you want to build your community organically. Now, but if you are building inorganically, it's going to take, yeah, it depends on your budget and then your financial ability. Yeah, that is basically what will determine how soon or how quick you will arrive at building a community. But like I always advise anybody that wants to build a Web3 community, I always advise to start organically because with organic method, you are very much, you're sure of the kind of community you're building. You're sure of sustaining that community, right? So let me say you decide to start inorganic, right? You just go ahead to pay influencers or get key opinion leaders in the space to probably draft a post and get their followers to join your community. And these people joining your community, basically, they're joining you because of the incentive that is being rewarded to them, that is being given to them. So that is basically what is attracting them to your community. And then on the long run, you tend to see that these people are no longer active or they are not engaging in your community or what you have to offer. So that is why I always advise, start organically. And then there are some people that we say that it's not bad if you start inorganically, but I would say we all have our perspective and we all have our strategies that work for us. So personally, I always like starting organically. Then as we go on, we can then try out inorganic strategies as well. So with that in mind, I'd like to emphasize on the organic aspects of building communities. Now, number one, first and foremost, it's always important to set clear goals for your community. What do I mean by setting clear goals for your community? Now, you should be able to answer a couple of questions when you're starting a Web3 community. Questions like, what do you want to achieve with your community? I mean, you can't just wake up and decide you want to build a community when there is no motive around it or there is no goal around it. Why do you like what do you want to achieve with this community, right? What is the purpose of your community? These are questions you need to ask yourself before setting out to build a Web3 community. So, first and foremost, set clear goals for your community. Define a clear mission and vision for the community. And if it's a Web3 community, you definitely have to make sure that it aligns with Web3 technologies and Web3, terms. Okay, that's like the first important thing. You need to have a purpose. You need to have a clear goal for the community that you want to create. Then, secondly, the most like I think to me, this is something that is very important, right? You need to identify your target audience. Yes, it's very important. Now, when you take a look at iPhone, when iPhone is trying to sell their product, they don't sell their product to everybody. They try to identify their audience. They try to target a particular niche, target a set of people. And that is why you don't get their phones cheap, because their phones are not meant for everybody. So the same thing applies to setting up a community. You need to you need to identify your target audience. Now, your audience should not be everybody, right? But yes, it happens that okay, probably as your project is going on, as you're going on with your project and the rest, it kind of changes, and then everybody's kind of accepting what you have to offer. But it's very important that you identify your target audience. Now, who do you want to join your community? That is what I mean by target audience. What kind of people do you want to join your community? Now, imagine you are setting a gaming community. You are trying to set up a gaming community, right? Definitely, your target audience should be gamers or people who are game enthusiasts who will be interested in gaming. Now, it makes no sense trying to target a market woman who is basically selling goods, in local markets or stuff like that. So identify your target audience and understand your target audience, understand their needs. Okay, that's very important. So after identifying your target audience, it's also important to to decide on which platform you want to build your community on, right? Decide on which platform you want your community to be on. Now in Web3 we have lots of platforms. Social media has made it possible that we have different platforms that you could leverage to build a community on. So we have Discord, we have Telegram, we have Twitter communities, and we also have Slack. A lot of these communities, a lot of platforms that you can actually leverage to build Web3 communities. So you need to think about which social media platform is best for the community that you're building. So, for example, you are trying to build probably a gaming project. To me, I would say it's lame if you decide to use Telegram to build a gaming project, because the features of Discord is kind of advanced, right? And we make your community come to life in terms of what you have to offer. So definitely you need to think of which social media platform is best when you're setting out to build a Web3 community. Now after that, yeah, content is key. Content is very powerful, so you should be able to create engaging content. All right, that is something that is very important. You should also think about the content, the kind of content you want to give out. You should be able to create engaging content. So in order to attract and retain members, it's very important to consistently create create and share high quality content that is relevant to your community. So it's not just about creating content. The content should be relevant to the people in your community. So I like using examples, right? Because I think most people relate to examples very well. So let me use another example here. Permit me to use another example here. So let's use our gaming project again. So you have a gaming project, you have a gaming community, and then when it's time to create content, you are basically coming up with content that is DeFi related. Yeah, let me use that. So you are basically coming up with content that is DeFi related, or what should I think of right now? Yeah, let me use DeFi, right? That is DeFi related. I mean, I'll say it's kind of off, and the content is not really suitable for your community members or the people, the community that you are building. So definitely you have to create content. The point I'm trying to make is that you should create content that is relevant to your community. Now, use social media to promote your community. Very important. Use social media to promote your community. Now, you can leverage social media platforms like Twitter, Facebook, and even LinkedIn, to share your content and attract new members to your community. Now, so for example, Discord, right? You are building a community on Discord. Now, Discord, I consider Discord to be a close community, in the sense that if I don't have a link to your Discord community, then yeah, the truth is I will not be able to join your community, or stuff like that. But on Twitter, Twitter is more open. Twitter is more open. I can just come to Twitter and possibly make a search, or I can just be scrolling through Twitter and I see your community, or I see something related to your community. So you should use social media to promote your community. Platforms like Twitter, Facebook, and LinkedIn. Share content on these platforms, and it will definitely help you attract new members to your community. Okay. All right. So another point I'd like to add is to engage with your community members. Yes, engage with your community members. So even if you have 20 community members, 10 community members, don't just sit down and relax and say, okay, I have just 20 community members. There is no need trying to engage with these guys. Now you should seek out efforts, you should seek out ways, create content to engage with these people, because if you have a community of 10 members and then they are not kept engaged, the enthusiasm of them staying or being retained will no longer be there. And then on the long run, they tend to leave your community as well. I mean, if you check it in Web3, we have a lot of communities. It's like a competition. There are a lot of communities out there. So let's say we have 1,000 Web3 communities, and your project is adding to that 1,000 communities, making it 1,001 communities. Now you are competing with the other 1,000 communities to get members too, right? So you have to play your part and make sure you keep these community members engaged. Now build a strong sense of community is very building a strong sense of community is very essential for retaining members. So, and one way you can build a strong sense of community is to keep them engaged. Yes. Now, another important thing I like to say, and this one is like the icebreaker, it's like the key to building a community, building a successful Web3 community: collaboration, partnership with other projects, other Web3 projects. Partnership is very important. Collaboration is very important. You can't do it on your own. That is just the truth, right? In this space, it's very competitive. You can't just come out and do it on your own or stand out on your own. You need to collaborate. You should be able to partner with other projects as well, especially at that early stage when you're just starting up. Because when you partner with a particular project, you see that the members of that project is also joining your community as well. So it's a win-win for the both projects, right? So don't just should I say seclude yourself and be like, oh no, I don't want partnership. I just want to be on my own. I want to do it on my own. Yeah. So you should try to collaborate and partner with other projects. Partnering with other projects, can help expose your community to new audiences, and bring in new members. So yeah, that is very, very important. So if you have not been working on partnerships, collaboration, I think it's definitely time you know think about these things. Okay, another point is hosting events and webinars. Yes. Hosting events and webinars, it's like a very great way to engage with your community and attract new members because, for example, you're hosting a Twitter space and Denise is following your account. Because Denise is following your account, the followers of Denise get to see that Denise is joining your Twitter space, and they might decide to opt in and join the Twitter space just to, listen to, what you guys are discussing or what the Twitter space is all about. So hosting events or webinars is definitely a great way to keep your community engaged. So when I say hosting events, I'm not just talking about online events. I'm not just talking about online events because I think in Web3 we tend to forget the fact that there are offline, we can create offline communities as well. So it's not just online communities this time around. So you need to also focus on offline communities, creating offline events as well, right? If you create offline events, circulate your flyers everywhere. People that are probably someone that is a Web3 end users might get to pick up your flyer and just show interest and attend your events. That way, you're attracting new members, you're attracting new people to your community. And I like using Binance as an example when I'm talking about things like this. I mean, Binance is one project that I have seen leveraging offline events, leveraging offline communities. So it's definitely something that you should consider when you are coming up with a strategy to build your Web3 community. Now, like I was saying, consider hosting regular events or webinars to keep your community active, and growing. Okay, so is Jacob still here? I don't know if Jacob is still here.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead. I'm with you.
Okay. I was just wondering because I was just, it was just as if I was speaking to myself or something, just seeing myself here alone. So I was just wondering. So yes, I think I've mentioned a lot of key points and everything, right? So I'll just quickly summarize everything I've been saying so far. Yeah. Number one, when you're creating a Web3 community or creating a community, it's always important to set clear goals for your community. Now, identify your target audience, create engagement content, use social media to promote your community, engage with your community members. Now, sorry, I think I missed out something when I was saying talking about engaging with community members. I noticed something in most Web3 communities whereby they tend to ignore DMs. I mean, when I mean DMs, I mean direct messages. Probably a community member sending you a DM, you tend to ignore it, I think that is something we need to revisit. I mean, if you are accustomed to, ignoring messages from community members, DMs from community members, it's not helping at all. It won't help long run because you need to make these guys feel at home, feel welcome. So, and one way to do that is definitely not by ignoring their direct messages. Okay. Um, okay, I think that was that. Engage with your community members, collaborate or partner with other projects, hosting events and also webinars. Okay. Yes. And I think another thing is definitely reaching out to your community members for help as well. Because if you have succeeded to grow your community to say 10 members, you can actually reach out to these 10 members to invite one of their friends as well. So imagine 10 people inviting one person from their contact list. That is like times two of what you had, right? Now imagine these 10 new people joining, and then you're asking these 10 new people like, hey, please, we need to grow our community. We are giving out some kind of incentives. If you invite your friends and families, then these 10 new people are inviting 10 of one person each from their contact list. That is times three already. So um incentivize your community members to invite their friends and families as well is something that would really help, if you are building any Web3 community, if you're building your Web3 community. Okay. Mr. Emmanuel, are you still with me? I think you gave me time, so I'm trying to make sure that I don't exceed our time limit.
Yeah, you still have a few minutes. So, sorry. If you have any question, please do well to drop it in the comment box. If you have any question in regards to what has been treated so far, any question related to building a successful Web3 community, please do well to drop it in the comments below, and she's going to help you attend to it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Jacobs. Okay, so to wrap everything up, one last thing I always like leaving behind is always try to listen to your community, pay attention to your community members, try to gather feedback from them, and try to understand their needs and priorities and adapt accordingly, right? So it's always important you try to seek for feedback and try to work in line with those feedback. That is, if you feel those feedback would really help, yeah, as it's supposed to. So and another thing I also want to emphasize on, if you're building your community organically, like I said from the beginning, it takes a lot of time and patience. So this is something you need to put into consideration as well. This is something you need to put into consideration as well. So don't just expect that in 1 month you should get like 10K followers. It doesn't work like that. So so you just have to be patient, and also understand that if you're building a Web3 community, you need to incentivize your community members. Like I've mentioned that before. So it's not supposed to be a norm. It's not supposed to be something you do every day, but once in a while, just to like build up some kind of enthusiasm and bring up that community spirit, make it live. It's always important, and always support your community members. Provide resources that will help them, not just resources about your project. Try to provide resources about Web3 in general. So they always know that, okay, they're learning one or two things from your communities. And like I said, it's always important to, build partnership, seek out for partnership and collaboration in the Web3 space. So hosting Twitter spaces, hosting community calls on probably on Discord or Telegram, that is wherever you're building your community, is very, very important as well. There's something we've popularly know in Web3 called AMA, Ask Me Anything session. So it's also something that help as well. All right. So I think that is it all from my end. I don't know if there are any questions in the comment section. That's Yeah. So Mr. Emmanuel, I think you can continue.
All right. Thank you so much for that. That was quite insightful. Thank you so much. So we have the first question from Emma J. And the question is, what is the first step to kickstart your Web3 community?
Okay. What's the first step to kickstart your Web3 community? I'm trying to understand this question, right? Kickstarting your Web3 community. Okay. So I think I missed out something. Now, thank you for this question because it just reminded me of something very important. Now, there are always like three stages when you are setting out to build a community. There are always three stages. Now, the first one has to do with user acquisition. Now, in user acquisition, this is the stage where you are trying to get members, you're trying to get people to join your community. So let me say you are just starting off to build your community. You create a Discord group, for example. That is your first stage, right? So after creating your Discord group, it's just you in the Discord community or just you and your team members in the Discord community. The first thing is user acquisition. It's user acquisition. It's always that stage where you are trying to bring people to join your Web3 community. You're trying to bring people to join the community. Now, there are a lot of strategies involved in that stage, in the user acquisition stage, and which I mentioned I shared some ideas on what you can do to, bring people into your community. Now, one idea I shared was partnership and collaboration, right? Now that had to do with user acquisition. And then I also mentioned hosting events and webinars. Now that also has to do with user acquisition. Now identifying your target audience as well falls under user acquisition, right? Now after user acquisition, after you have started getting members, people are joining your community one way or the other. You're starting to get 5 people, 10 people, 15 people joining the community. Now the next stage is user engagement, user acquisition, and then user engagement. Now, at during the stage of user engagement, this is where you keep your community engaged. And I shared some ideas that you can do in that stage. Now, one idea I shared was creating engaging content. All right, if you can remember, I mentioned creating engaging content, coming up with high quality content that is relevant to your community. So that falls under user engagement. You should be able to keep those people that are joining the community engaged. You should be able to keep them engaged. Now, the next thing, I would say the final stage has to do with user retention. So the first thing is user acquisition. So once you have acquired these users, the next thing you should look at is user engagement. So in the process of keeping these people engaged, you should be able to retain them as well. So user engagement and user acquisition, they kind of go hand in hand, because when you are keeping users engaged, definitely it's also helping you to retain them, right? So the next thing is always user retainment, user retention. So you should be able to keep these people that have joined your community. You should be able to retain them. It's not about them joining your community and then 1 month later they've gone to a different community. Like I said, there are lots of Web3 communities, there are lots of communities out there. So it's not just about them joining today, tomorrow they are leaving, right? So that is where user retention is going to help you to make sure that you are able to keep these people that are joining your community. And one way to do that is through events as well. Also help, some kind of AMA session to build trust, would also help as well. Now giving out incentives as well also help to retain community members, and giving out value to them, creating resources, content that will be of value to these community members, so that we have a reason why they want to be retained in your community. So I'll say that's like 3 steps that is basically involved when you're trying to kickstart your Web3 community.
That's a lot. Thank you so much for that. So we have another question on the screen from Vicky Adams. The question is, aside organizing activities like games, session, that what other ways to keep, grow, and engage your community?
Okay, I would like to share something I do to keep community members, engaged, and also help with growth as well. Now, one thing I do is I always make sure that on a daily basis there is a content going out. There is a content going out on a daily basis. So you should always be able to share content on a daily basis. Every day, your community members must hear from you. That is something that is very important. And how do I do this? I do this by creating what we call engagement calendars. Now, I have a calendar, just like the same way you have social media calendars for posting tweets. Like on Monday, this is the tweet you want to post out, right? This is the tweet you want to make. On Tuesday by 6 p.m., this is the tweet you are going to give out. Now, by on Wednesday by 5 p.m., this is the tweet you want to share to your followers. Now that is social media calendar, social media management calendar for you. Now when it has to do with the community, you should be able to come up with a community engagement calendar as well. So on Monday you have series of activities that you're doing. On Tuesday you have series of activities that you're doing. Now on Wednesday you have series of activities. Now every day of the week you have series of activities that you are giving out, that you are sharing to the community members. Now, another thing I would like to make you understand is that it is not possible for your community to be active 24 hours, 7 days. It is not possible, except there is probably something going on. Probably that is okay. Probably minting. Okay. That is the time where you are doing your minting process or IDO or probably launch or listing. Right? You are probably listing on an exchange. So I'll say those are the only times, those are the only days where your community would definitely or will possibly be active 24 hours, 7 days. Now, but if there is nothing happening, there's no news going on in the community, you shouldn't expect that your community should be active 24 hours, 7 days. All right. So that's something I also want to emphasize on. So talking about activities you can do apart from AMAs and games, there are a lot. There are quizzes, there are quizzes sessions and then community calls. Now, when I say community calls, it's different from AMA. With AMA, it's like an ask me anything session. Community members are asking the founders or the project team. Now, but with community calls, it's different. It's probably a call where you are just discussing any random thing with the community. You guys are just discussing one point, sharing ideas, stuff like that. So it's more like an open mic session, right? So yeah, there are lots of ideas out there now, but I will always advise that you create content or you create activities that will fit your project. All right, so don't copy an activity that user A is using in his own project when your project is completely different from user A project. So try to create activities that are in line with what your project is offering, right? So if your project is a metaverse project, for example, you try to create activities that is suitable for anything related to the metaverse. All right. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. Thank you so much for that. That was quite helpful. There is another question. All right, so B is asking, do you have any suggestion for a one-person organization who is trying to grow? I find it difficult to stay active on all social media platforms at the same time.
Okay, this is a very interesting question. I mean, this is something I've faced as well because I'm trying to build Astute. Astute is a community management agency, and then I'm trying to build Astute, and then it's difficult trying to grow, scale through. Seeing that the market, or should I say, the crypto space, the Web3 space, is a very competitive one, and you have to offer value before people even listen to you. So, talking about how to stay active on every social media platform, I would suggest now if you're a one person, should I say, organization, probably when you are starting off, yes, you're a one person organization, but it gets to a stage where you can't do it alone. You have to get help. You have to get people who would be able to join your team, and then you guys are fighting the same mission, or you guys are trying to achieve the same goal, right? So it gets to a point where you can't do it alone. You have to get a team of people who are interested in building and growing as well. Now, staying active on all social media platform is very difficult. I would say it's very difficult. And I will always advise that you start with one platform. Now, don't try to be active on Twitter, on LinkedIn, on Facebook, on Instagram at the same time. Now, because the reason is this: every social media platform has a language that is suitable for it, right? I can come to Instagram and post interesting pictures, interesting videos, use certain slangs and the rest. Now, but on LinkedIn, you tend to discover that LinkedIn is more like a professional platform. You just have to be professional. You have to keep everything professional. Nothing like on Twitter, you can go on Twitter and post GM and you see people liking and commenting. But on LinkedIn, the language there is different, and you have to, should I say, create content that is in line with certain platforms, so that you don't get probably banned on the platform, for example, right? So you don't get probably banned on the platform, for example. So I would advise that if you are starting, try to start with one platform. So you can say, okay, for 6 months, I want to be active on LinkedIn, post on LinkedIn, create content on LinkedIn. Now, for the next 6 months, I want to be active on Twitter. So you post content on Twitter, be engaging on Twitter, like and comment on other people's posts as well. Yeah, basically start small. Don't try to pack every platform together. Don't try to be active on all platforms at the same time. But it gets to a stage again where you have possibly grown on LinkedIn to a certain level. You can then decide to say, okay, I'm starting on Twitter. You grow on Twitter to a certain level, then you can then be active on Facebook. You grow on Facebook to a certain level, and then before you know it, you're active on all social media platforms.
All right, thank you so much for that. Um, let's get to the last question. So if I read out the last question, if you're on this live stream, please do well to hit on the subscribe button and subscribe to my YouTube channel. So you are going to be getting lots of helpful content in related to cryptocurrencies, blockchain, and the likes. Then we are going to be bringing you on a weekly basis a live series like this where you are going to get to interact, ask questions, and learn new stuff. So the last question on the comment box is, please give tips on how to source engaging content for your target audience.
Okay, let me read this question again. Please give tips on how to source engaging content for your target audience. Okay. 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 You have internet, right? Internet is something that's made life very easy for a lot of people, including myself. Now, there is no information that you need. I would say, based on my own experience, right? There's no information I've been looking for that I don't get on the internet. Now, even if you don't get the exact information, you must get something related to what you are looking out for. You must get something related to what you are looking out for. So make use of the internet, make use of Google. Now, for you to be able to get full experience, or should I say to experience Google or the internet to its full capacity, you should be able to ask questions the right way. So possibly you have been researching on the internet and then you're not getting answers. It's because you are not asking the search engine the way he or she. Okay, did I just refer to search engine as he or she? Now, it's possible you are not asking the search engine the way it is supposed to understand, right? So it's just like, okay, we also have a new AI feature called ChatGPT. If you're a content creator, you should definitely check out ChatGPT. I mean, it's something that has been really helpful to me personally. It's something that's been really helpful. So that is one way, right? Making use of the internet. Now, secondly, check out for competitors. What are your competitors doing? For example, you're a brand, you're a personal brand, it's just yourself. Probably you are trying to promote yourself on LinkedIn or promote yourself on Twitter. Check out people that are in your field doing the same thing with you. Probably you are a graphic designer. Check out other graphic designer, people that have been there before you, people that are doing graphic design and that are considered to be professionals in the graphic design field. Check out their Twitter, check out their LinkedIn. What kind of content are these guys sharing? Now you try to create content that is related to what they're sharing, not copying and pasting their content, all right? But you create content that is related to what you see your competitor creating, all right, but not go and copy and paste their content, because definitely, in fact, you'll be blasted severely for that. So try to look up people that are higher than you in whatever space you are. Try to look up what they're doing and how they're doing it, and try to use their strategies as well to see if it's going to work for you. So with time you'll be able to come up with your own strategies, and with experience you definitely be able to come up with your own strategies as well to create content that would be different as well, but it will also, your audience will also accept this content. Okay. Also talking about making use of the internet, you should be able to try to make research as often as possible, because there are tons of resources, tons of articles, tons of videos online that you can make use of to create engaging content.
You are done, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Hello,
I'm
can you
done.
hear me? Okay. All right. Thank you so much. Thank you so very much. That was quite amazing. Seriously, we were intending to end this live stream in like 30 minutes or 35 minutes, and this is already 45 minutes, and it was value packed. Thank you so much, Denise, for the value. Thank you so much for honoring our invitation. I really do appreciate. Thank you so much. So I believe you've been able to learn a thing or two. Thank you so much for joining our today's live stream. Please do well to subscribe, turn on post notification, and make sure you stay active on this page, as you are going to be getting valuable contents like this on a consistent base. I really do appreciate your audience. Please add link to your LinkedIn. Okay. So Dean, is someone is looking for your LinkedIn link. So it's going to be dropped in the comment box, all right? Once it is dropped, I'm going to pin it. All right, so we call it a wrap, guys. I hope to see you next week, same time, same channel. Goodbye, guys.